Hello, sweet Stampin' friends. All right, I am so excited for today. Today is our craft along with the Darling Dinos bundle. It is so cute. We're going to make 4 really adorable projects with it today. Now, if you ordered the pre-cut kit, I sent you a couple of emails with some prepping guidelines so that you could be prepared. Get your supplies ready for today. If not, don't worry about it. You can come back, watch the replay, use your PDF tutorial, and craft at your leisure. Totally fine to do that. Hello, say hello as you hop on. I see Barbara's on with us right now. If you haven't joined me before, I am Debra Harrison with Simply Sweet and Neat Designs. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in San Antonio, Texas, and I am so excited for you to join me today. All right, hello, Bonnie, Karen. All right, cool. Yes, good. Bonnie, I'm glad you're excited for today because I love this adorable Darling Dinos bundle. How many of you have kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews who love dinosaurs? Both of my boys, they're grown right now, but they both love dinosaurs as little kids. And I have to say, my younger son, Dylan, he was like an expert. He taught, he was just like always like absorbing dino information all the time. Super intelligent kid when it came to dinosaurs. We also, too, we used to have, he was called Dinosaur George. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him. I don't know if he's here locally in Texas, but he would go around to different schools, bring all this really cool paleontology, whatever you call it, dinosaur stuff. He was like the dinosaur expert here. And so I always thought that Dylan may end up like touring with him or something one day because he loved dinosaurs so much. All right. Hello, Rhonda and Noreen. All right, Laura, thanks for joining me. Okay. So I'm just going to real quick remind you that we have 3 days left of the celebration, which 2 things going on. One, you can shop, and for every $60 that purchase that you make before tax and shipping, you're going to earn a free celebration item from Stampin' Up. And Stampin' Up did add some new items at the beginning of February, so make sure to go check them out. This is your last chance. You only have a few days left. Why not get something free with your order anyway? Okay. Yeah, me too, Bonnie. I got to put one more order in tomorrow, and I think that I'm done for the month. So, and then also to our starter kit promotion where you can get some extra goodies free from Stampin' Up! When you join during celebration. And that does end on Friday, February 28th. All right, guys. So I just wanted to remind you of that real quickly because time just passes so fast, right? All right. So, also too, quick reminder. If you would like to do the Storybook Friends Creative Escape, today is the last day to sign up. And I have 2 spots left. So if you haven't registered and you would like the kit, it is $99. It includes a lot. It's got like $47 in consumable Stampin' Up! Product. You've got pre-cut cardstock for 10 projects. The pillow gifts, oh my gosh, I worked on them this weekend and they are adorable. I cannot wait for you to see them who are getting the kit. So like I said, 2 spots left if you want to message me. I had somebody earlier asking me about it, so there might only be 1 left. So if you would like that kit, please message me right away. All right, because I'm going to order everything tomorrow and then I will be shipping them out probably late next week. All right, anything else? I think that's it for our updates. Let me make room. Now I am going to do things just a little bit different today. I'm going to slow myself down and you're like, wow, that would be awesome, because I do go very, very fast because I'm trying to fit a lot in a very short period of time, especially on my Friday lives. But we're crafting together today. This is a craft along. There was a little bit I wanted you to prep ahead of time so that we wouldn't be spending the whole time stamping, coloring, and die cutting. All right. So those pieces, hopefully you already have. Specifically, these little pieces here were the main thing that you really needed to prepare for today. If you cut the designer series paper, you're ahead of the game. All right. So this is the bundle we're using, the Darling Dinos super, super cute little bundle with the critters. This is actually a $1 million achiever stamp set. And her name is Diana. It's Diana Gibbs, and super cute stamp set that she helped inspire. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to get our supplies out. And the first card we're going to make this card first. Now it looks like it's all flat, but it's actually it's a little bit shorter on this open panel. All right. So I just wanted to show that to you because it may not look like that in the tutorial. If you did get the kit, then you already have the tutorial and you had a prepping guideline. If you would like to purchase the tutorial, it is available in my PDF store. You just go over to my blog, Simply Sweet Ink Designs, there at the top, and there is an option for the PDF store. It's available for $10. That way you don't have to worry about writing everything down. You'll have the instructions with all of the pictures and measurements and supplies that were used so that you can just relax, hang out, and just hang out with us today. Okay, so we're going to start off with first, and I know I have my supplies here. You may be wondering, why are these highlighted in yellow? The way I'm going to kind of slow myself down today is I'm going to actually cut some of the designer series papers. And so that's why I have it highlighted, to remind myself what I need to cut. Okay, so we're going to start off first with our piece of base thick. It is the thick version of the basic white cardstock. It measures 5.5 by 7.5, and it is scored right here at 3 1/4. That is what's making that shorter edge right here. That way we can see a really pretty designer series paper border right there. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to cut some designer series paper layers. And oh, they're back here. Okay, so the first one I'm going to cut is my border, and it measures 1 1/4 by 5.5. So I'm going to cut that first. So it's up 1 1/4. I almost did it wrong. Okay, 1 1/4 by 5.5. And while I have my paper trimmer out, I'm going to do this piece, which measures 3 by 5.5. So that one is going to be this pattern right here. Again, in I'm using the Timeless Plaid Designer Series paper. There are so many options front and back. You can have fun just picking and choosing what paper patterns you want to use. So this is 3 by 5.5. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue this green panel, and I did 5 1/4. Dadgummit, I knew I was going to mess that up. Okay, well, let me try this again. I have a tendency to do the little border around, so let's say 1 1/4 by 5.5, right? 5.5. I think I just automatically did 5 1/4 without thinking about it. Okay, that should be good. Let me just double check. Yep. And then double check. Yes, cool. All right, so I'm going to glue. I'm going to glue this down right here on the inside right edge. Okay, so we have that. Then we're going to fold it to the front. But before we glue on this piece, we want to put on a border. May not be too evident, but there is a little bit of a Lost Lagoon border here, and that piece measures 1 by 5.5. Okay, and the reason I did this is anytime, like whenever I'm working with like gingham, plaid prints, a lot of times putting them right next to each other can be like too busy. And so one of the ways that you can break it up is just by adding a little bit of a border so that your eye kind of can separate those two patterns. So we're going to add on our Lost Lagoon piece right here along our right edge of the front of the card. And it's going to actually like go right up to the very edge. And then we can add our 3 by 5.5 piece, and it's going to go on the left edge of the card. See how we have just a little bit of a border for our eyes to be able to break up those patterns. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do some decorating on the front. And so we're going to take our circle. This is cut with the Stylish Shapes dies. It is a 2.5-inch circle. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping I'm going to take from the stamp set. It's a string for your balloons. And I'm going to just stamp in a couple of places in Memento Black ink. Now, I don't know if it's in my tutorial. Yes, it is. Okay, so in my tutorial, you'll see you kind of want your lines to intersect. I just wanted to show that to you first. So we're going to have them go like this. And then the other one's just going to go right next to it like that. Okay. Then we're just going to glue this flat. You know, before I do that, because I want to make sure I save room for my sentiment, let's go ahead and do the sentiment while we're here and while we have our ink pad out. So I'm taking the happy birthday sentiment. You can use any one you want, whatever the occasion is. And I'm going to stamp in Memento Black ink. And this is a 1/2 inch by 3 inch piece of basic white cardstock. So right here in the middle. Ooh, this white on white's hard to tell. Not much contrast there. I did pretty well. Okay. All right. So let's go on ahead and glue this right here. And I just got ink on it. Oh, well, I'll cover it up with a little dot here in a moment. Hide my boo-boo. And I'm probably going to put it up maybe about 1 inch from the bottom. And I wanted to do that first so that I knew where I wanted to place this, my circle. So let's go ahead and let's get our circle on. I'm gluing mine flat. If you want to pop yours up with dimensionals, go for it. Okay, so I'm going to put that right here. And then I have already stamped, colored, and cut. This was on thick basic white cardstock, stamped in a Memento Black ink. And then the colors I used were Granny Apple Green and Lost Lagoon for my coloring. I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. And we're just going to have it right here off to the side. And then I stamped 2 balloons. One I stamped basic or the Memento Black on Lost Lagoon cardstock. And then this is an Old Olive cardstock. And I'm going to pop these up also with dimensionals so they look like they're floating in the air. And let's see, I'm going to have 1 balloon going this way. The other balloon going here, off there, just a little higher. And then just a couple of extra things that I want to do. Actually, I don't have this in the tutorial, but I wanted to share with you. If y'all have the bundle, y'all know already about this. But look at all these like cute little accents that you can add. You can add a little hat. You can add a little, party hat. You can add a top hat. There's a lot of really cute things that you can add on top. So I had this. I found it in my stamp set. I had stamped and colored a little party hat. So I thought it would just be fun just to add that on real quick onto his head because it is a birthday card. Why not have a little party hat to go with it? And we'll put that right there. Super little cute accent. Now, those who got the kit, the pre-cut kit, you got a full pack of this twine, which is the 2023-2025 in color jute trim. It does have 5 different colors. And so I'm using the boho blue one. Now, I'm going to show you on this first one, and then the others I've already prepped ahead of time. I find personally that this is a little thick for my use. So what I like to do is I like to take one end, gently just kind of untwist the end just a little bit. And I want to pull out one of those strings, and that will help thin it out. And I did show in the tutorial, just kind of a quick reference how you can do that. And so I'm just going to kind of straighten it out here. I'm going to tie my bow. Oops, I grabbed the wrong one. That's the part that I was like, that looks really wavy. Okay, this is the one I want. This one has 2 strands, and I've removed one of the strands. Okay, so let's just, I'm going to tie a bow. And then I'm going to just pop it up right here in the corner with a mini glue dot. Cut off my excess. Don't need them that long. I'm going to bring everything back before I lose it. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my in color dots, again from the 2023-2025 collection of in colors, and I am going to just add a little bit of bling on each end of my sentiment here. Of course, you can put it anywhere you want. And I do have one little boo-boo that I need to cover up here where I got some ink on my card. And that is our project number 1. All right. I do too. Susan says you like these colors, the designs and colors together. I do. I really love the blue and the green. And there's so many like patterns that you can mix and match in that plaid paper. It's really cool to use. All right, so here all I did is I just added the little party hat. Other than that, it is exactly the same. Great. Oh, I see more of you joined. Hi, Sandy, Anita, Jeanne, and of course, Susan, I saw you there. All right. All right, so I'm going to clean up just a little bit, and then we will move on to project 2. I'll give y'all just a second to kind of catch up. Okay, now the next one, we're going to do a coordinating gift bag. Now, the gift bags, I have bought them on Amazon before. These, though, I got at Hobby Lobby because they're the exact same that I got at Hobby Lobby, that I got on Amazon. They measure 5 1/4 by 8, and they have like roughly about a 3-inch gusset on them. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put this up here in the very corner. I'm going to put this here. And really, basically, what we're doing is we are going to decorate the front of the bag, and we're going to add a cute little tag to go with it. And then, of course, you could stick some tissue paper and a fun little gift in there. Okay? All right. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to replace it with this. Again, those who are may have hopped on a few minutes later, my highlighted measurements here are to remind me what I need to cut from the designer series paper. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my pieces. And again, I have this bag. My bag is a little beat up. It was some leftovers that I had in my stash from something a long time ago. But I'm going to cover it up so nobody will know. So they won't be able to see all that. All right, so now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and I'm going to put the designer series paper on first. Let me move this out of the way. Now, for my designer series paper, I'm going to use, now this is a different pattern. It's similar, but it is different. So this one is kind of the opposite, where this one was more of the Lost Lagoon with a little bit of green. This is a little bit more of the green with a little bit of Lost Lagoon going on in the background, but they coordinate beautifully. So this one is a 6x6 because that's how it comes in the paper pack. I don't really need the full width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the width of this, and I'm going to double check just in case this happens to be different, but it shouldn't be. It is roughly 5 1/4. Maybe not quite that much. Ooh, okay. All right, so mine's like 5 1/8. Okay, so this may be a little bit different than the one I bought at Hobby Lobby, but the one I bought at Hobby Lobby is like 5 1/4. Okay, so I'm gonna go just a little bit over. I'm going to leave the 6-inch length. So this is roughly 5 1/4 by 6 inches. Just measure your bag, whatever size you're using. We're going to glue this on. And then my next piece is going to be 2 by 5 1/4 with a Lost Lagoon print. I only need 2 inches of it. And again, I'm doing about 5 1/8 only because my bag's not quite 5 1/4. But if you got the kit from me, you should have gotten the 5 1/4 bag. So we're just going to glue these two pieces together right here on top of our bag. Now you want to make sure that you get it well adhered along the edge, because that's where it really, really needs to stick. Put this at the bottom. This is great, like if you have need a last minute gift for a kid's birthday party. Have you ever had kids? My kids would do this to me all the time. Oh, Mom, I've got such and such birthday party at 3 o'clock today. And I'm like, you're kidding me. You're joking. So maybe quickly throw in a gift card, some cash, something, maybe a little gift, run to the store real quick. But then you could do a really quick bag. All right, so this is going to go at the top. Top's a little more challenging because you do have those handles you're working around. So you want to make sure press down really, really well. Okay. Now, what again? Remember how like I talked to you about on the card, because we are working with two different prints. This one isn't quite as busy and contrasting. We're going to add a little band in the middle just to break up those patterns of the plaid papers. All right, to do that, I am using what I call accent bands. I did one that measures 1 1/4 by 5 1/4, and I embossed it. You can really use any embossing folder you want. This one, oh, I think I used the Soft Waves, or it could have been the one from the duck, the one that matches the duck suite. I can't remember, but it doesn't really matter. It's whichever embossing folder that you want to use, just something fun. This measures 1 1/4 by 5 1/4, and the color is Lost Lagoon. And then this piece is Old Olive, and it measures just a little bit wider, 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. All right, so we're going to glue this embossed piece on top first, and then we're going to glue it on our bag. Okay, so I'm going to glue this. And again, mine isn't quite as long, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off for me. Just so it fits my bag. And then we're going to glue it right here at the seam to cover our seam line and to provide a little break for our eyes on the patterns. Okay, so the bag part is done. So now we are going to add our cute little tag. I'm going to go ahead and move our first project. If you're just now joining us, you can come back, watch the replay on how we did our first card. All right, so for this, I die cut out a label with the greetings of the season dies. I don't even know if this is still available. I forgot to check. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Just some kind of fun little tag die. You can also too cut a rectangle, trim the corners, whatever you want to do on that. So what we're going to do is I have already cut out this coordinating print, and it is 3/4 by 2 1/2. And I'm just going to add it down here as a little accent for my tag. Okay, so the next, before I add on my cute little dinosaur, let's go ahead and stamp the sentiment. Now, I didn't really have a lot of room on my sentiment to go horizontally, but I thought it doesn't have to be horizontal. We can go vertical. So my sentiment is going to be stamped vertically, and it is the one that says, hope your birthday is dino-mite. I am going to stamp in Memento black ink just right here on the horizontal. But I want to make sure that I leave room for my dinosaur on the right. So my sentiment on the left, dinosaur on the right. Okay, so then hopefully you've already prepped your dinosaur, and I stamped him on thick basic white with Memento Black ink. The colors, again, I'm using Granny Apple Green and Lost Lagoon Stampin' Blends. And then I'm going to pop it up right here on the side. And I might use some mini dimensionals probably for his head because it's pretty tiny. And his neck too, because I want to support his neck. So probably about right here in the middle, I'm going to add a dimensional. And then I can use larger dimensionals down here. Okay, put him right here. I want to leave room so we can put his shell. Now for the shell, I think on this one, what I did is I stamped in crumb cake ink, but I decided, you know what, let's just stick with one ink pad. So what I did is I used the Memento Black, I stamped off on scrap paper, and then I stamped on my piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock. If you want to die cut first and then stamp, totally fine, or vice versa, you could stamp. It's called generation stamping, two-step stamping. You stamp off and then you stamp again to get a lighter color, and then you can die cut afterwards, whatever your preference is. I'm going to just pop that up with some dimensionals, and I think I'm going to use mini dimensionals for this. So let's see, put that there. Like he just came out of the shell. All right, and then I did the same thing for the little part of the egg, and that's going to be his little hat. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to kind of sneak that under just a little bit, so it's kind of partially under his head. And then I'm going to add just a tiny bit of glue right there. That way it kind of helps stabilize on his head, and also too has a little bit of stability with the dimensional that's hanging off. All right, so that is our cute little tag. I am going to add a little bit more. I'm going to add some of my bling. This is, again, the in color dots. I think we're going to add just a few little sparkle dots here. And then I'm going to tie it off. Now this, I've already, on the jute trim, I've already removed my extra piece because I don't need it all. This is way longer than you're going to need. The other piece I used was 12 inches on the card. This one I think is 24, but you probably only need 15 to 18 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this in the hole here in the front. I'm going to string it through the loop there and just pull. And then I'm going to just tie it off on one of the handles. Oh yeah, way more than I needed. I might even be able to get away with just 12 inches. I would say maybe 15 if you want to be on the safe side. But yeah, I definitely did not need all of that. Okay, all right. So that is our project number 2 with the gift bag. If you're just joining us, we made a coordinating card for our first card and a bag to go with it for our second card, our second project. Our third project is going to be the girl version, okay? My die cut helper, she's the one who helps me die cut for my Sweet Creations Club, and she has a granddaughter who loves dinosaurs, so I was like, I had to do a girl version of coordinating projects for her granddaughter. And so we're going to make next, we're going to make a card and a coordinating box to go with it. All right, again, I'm going to clean up, give you all a few moments to catch up. I'm going to see who's joining us. Oh, Julie, you are in Sydney. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. It is morning for you. Yes. Now, we are kind of winter. Are y'all summer in Australia? Y'all are kind of like opposite in weather, I think. All right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. That is our second project with the bag. Our next project is gonna be making the card. And for this, what I did is I pulled colors from the Timeless Plaid Designer Series paper. I used basically the crumb cake and Calypso Coral for those girly colors. All right, so again, my yellow measurements are what I'm going to cut on the Designer Series paper, just to remind myself. I thought you were, okay, I was wondering if maybe y'all weren't approaching autumn. Okay, thanks, Julie. Summer coming up on autumn. Awesome. Yes, we are winter coming up on spring. I always knew y'all were kind of like opposite. I just wasn't sure where you were at this time of the year. All right, how's it going, guys? Are you ready for project number 3? Does anybody have any questions on our first 2 projects? Noreen, let's see, was it Noreen? Yes. Okay, Noreen, do your grandkids, are they like dinosaur fans? It is. It's so fun. I have a nephew. I don't know if he's still into dinosaurs or not. I think he's 9. I can't remember exactly. 9. I think he's 9. But man, he was into dinosaurs big time. Big time. And so I had like a big box for whenever he would come over so that he could just play with his dinosaurs while he was visiting. Yeah, Susan, we are probably 70-ish, 75 right now. It's beautiful. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday. Oh my gosh, so cold. It was so cold. It was cold for about a week, unusually cold for us. All right, so guys, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to project number 3. And so I'm gonna remove my bag and I'm gonna put this up in the corner. This one's a pretty easy one, but there are a couple things, especially for those who have the pre-cut kit. I want to make sure you orient your crumb cake cardstock correctly so that it fits. So we are starting off with just a general card base of 4 1/4 by 11, scored down the middle at 5 1/2. And we're going to add some Designer Series paper layers. Now, for this, I'm going to take these 2 right here, these 2 patterns. And this one measures 4 by 5 1/4. Now, I want to let you know, I'm going to go ahead and use the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to do the 4 by 5 1/4. If you want to conserve your Designer Series paper, I would say I would probably cut off, I would say 1 by 4. Do 2 of those, put 1 on top, 1 on bottom, and that will conserve your Designer Series paper. Oh my gosh, Noreen, I forgot all about Littlefoot. Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. We used to watch that all the time. What was the name of that series? I remember Littlefoot was the dinosaur, right? All right, so we have 4 by 5 1/4. And then my next piece is 3 by 4. So I'm just going to cut it in half by 4. Oh, Susan, your granddaughter, oh, she had a dinosaur party. How fun. Oh, yes, we did something like that, Susan, for when my youngest he had a dinosaur party when he was little. And we had a sandbox. That is so fun. Digging for dinosaurs. Oh, that's so cute. I bet they had a blast. All right, so I have cut my Designer Series paper. This is 4 by 5 1/4. The alternate is to do 2 pieces that are 1 by 4. Land Before Time. Yes, that is it. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, that was so fun. Oh my gosh, we watched so much of that when the kids were growing up. Like I said, and then we're going to have another piece that measures 3 by 4. Again, I want to break it up, okay? And so to do that, I'm using a piece of crumb cake cardstock. Now this measures 3 3/4 by 4. Now, we want to make sure before we do our stamping over sentiment that we have this oriented correctly. So we want it to go on the 4-inch side. We're going to stamp here in the bottom corner. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my Memento black ink pad and the sentiment that says "You're terrific," because we have a T-Rex, so we've got that matches our little dinosaur there. And I'm going to stamp here in the corner. Now, if you want just to lay down your coordinating paper, you can just kind of lay it down right there, just to give you a point of reference to make sure you don't go too high. Now, if you notice, I have a bigger border here than I do at the top. That's because I want to leave room for my sentiment. Noreen, if you're showing your age, I'm showing mine, friend. But that was a fun series. Okay, so we're going to stamp the "You're terrific" right here in the corner. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I just wanted to make sure that you knew to stamp on the 4-inch length, not the 3 3/4, because they're really, really similar. All right, so let's put this here. And then I'm going to put this, glue the coordinating piece on to the crumb cake layer. Again, I'm just leaving a little bit of a border at the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue that right there on the front of my card, just kind of in the center there. And then I die cut these two out from the Hearts of Elegance die set. This is in Calypso Coral, and then the small heart is in Petal Pink cardstock. So I'm going to glue my coral heart, my large coral heart, just flat. And it's a little off center. It's not exactly center because I want to leave room for my T-Rex on the right. So it's just a little left of center. And then I'm going to pop up my Petal Pink heart with a dimensional. Actually, I may use 2 dimensionals on this. And just kind of angle it. And so this was stamped ahead of time on thick basic white cardstock and Memento black ink. And then I colored with crumb cake and then Calypso Coral. And I think I used the light Calypso Coral for his tummy and his little band here, and then dark Calypso Coral for his toenails. All right, so we're going to pop him up right here, or her. I guess it's a girl, right? Pop up with dimensionals right here on the right. And then I'm just going to add a couple things. I'm going to use this copper twine, the jute twine from the In Color pack, make a little bow. I'm going to put it on with a mini glue dot, kind of right here in the corner. Or you could put it down here if you want. You could put it down there too if you want, whatever your preference is. And again, I think this was like 12 inches for my twine. All right, now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add some of the In Color sparkle dots. And I'm just going to make a line, just a little accent line there. So I'm going to put one here. That's going to be my center point. Then put one on the left, or one on the right and one on the left. All right. And you probably, unless you have these dots, you may not realize they actually have like little flecks of sparkle in them to give it a little bit of shimmer. They're really cute. All right, so that is our third project. So we've made 2 cards and we made a gift bag. Our last project for the day is going to be this box. All right. No worries, Katie. You can come back and watch the replay. Totally fine. That way it gives you plenty of time. You can just craft at your leisure. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this away, and I'm going to add in our last set of measurements. Let me cut off there we go. That should do it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move this up here in the corner, and we're going to do our gift box. Now, the gift box, it's a kind of a really nice size box to put some fun little gifts inside. We have a base. So this is the box base right here, and then this is the box lid. And then we just decorate it up. Okay, so I have already scored. If you got the kit, you already had this scored ahead of time. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of Calypso Coral cardstock. Now, this is an 8x8 piece. And really, really easy. You're going to take your scoreboard. You're going to score on all 4 sides at 2 inches. So 2, 2, 2, and 2. Super simple. I'm going to burnish my score lines. Okay, just grab my instructions here. So I want to show you something. So if you have the tutorial or you purchased the tutorial, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to snip up the side score lines. So we'll do that. Snip up that side. Now I'm just going to angle cut, get rid of some of that bulk. I'm going to do that for each of these. These are our, what I call the tabs. All right, so we have this. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave this part straight. Leave the long part straight. Just angle cut your tabs if you want to remove some bulk. You ever notice how, like, when you try to put a box together, it doesn't always like line up and you got part of it sticking out? Well, this helps kind of minimize that extra sticking above your box. So what you're going to do is you're going to rotate it all the way to the other side. You're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Remember, keep this long center part straight, but you can angle cut your tabs. So we're going to cut up the score lines again. I'm going to angle cut. Okay. All right. So that's what your bottom, the base of your box should look like. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, and then we're going to glue it. So you're going to take those tabs that we angle cut, you're going to put them to the inside, and then you're going to glue those long straight edges onto your tabs. Now you can use tear and tape. I'm just using multi-purpose liquid glue. I'll line up those edges, those corners, and just go around and adhere your tabs to the inside of the box. All right, so while my box base is setting up, I'm going to let that glue just kind of adhere up nicely. I'm going to work on the lid. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the lid because I like to use a shim whenever I am making a box lid. If you try, I've noticed that when I try to make the box lid and the box base like the same I guess, score lines and stuff, it kind of is a really tight fit, and it kind of makes the bottom buckle. And I don't want it to do that. I want it to fit nicely on top to where you can take it off and on. And to do that, I use what's called a shim. Now, if you have the tutorial, you'll notice right here, I have a little hyperlink. It's blue and it says using a shim. If you have the digital version of the tutorial, you can click on that link and it will take you over to my Stampin' Up. It's called DBWS, Demonstrator Business Website Services or something. And there is a tutorial there for you that you can access. I think it's free. You can even probably go, I don't know if you can access it from, no, I don't think you can access it from my website, from my blog. You'll have to go to my DBWS. You have to go like stampinup.com, look me up, Debra Harrison, and then you can find my DBWS that way. But there is a link to, it's called a shim, and there's a free tutorial for you to grab out there. Now let me show you what a shim is. And in the tutorial, it tells you how to make a shim. Now to make a shim, you're gonna take a piece of acetate paper and you're going to score it. And I tell you in the tutorial how to score it. And then what I did is I just used some tear and tape to add a little piece of cardstock. Now, what's cool about this is if you have the scoreboard from Stampin' Up, you can take this shim and just rest it right there on the side. And what that's going to do is it's going to help kick your cardstock out just a fraction, tiny, tiny little fraction, so that you get that little bit of gap for your box lid. And so what I did, and just a little tip when you are working with the shim, is here is our box lid. Now this is a 7 by 7 inch piece of crumb cake cardstock. I scored each side, let me double check, at 1.5, but I used a shim. So let's say my 1.5 is right here. So what I did is I like to kind of flip up the corner of my cardstock just a little bit. So, and then just gently rest it up against the shim, and then I will do my scoring. And I will do that for all 4 sides, and I'll just keep doing that, okay? The reason I like to lift this little edge right here in the corner is because if I don't, what can sometimes happen if you push too hard, you can actually shove your cardstock under the shim, and it kind of defeats the purpose of using a shim. So if you lift it up just gently, it'll kind of just sit there right in the corner, lift it up, you do your scoring, and then you will have a nice box lid that fits perfectly. So I wanted to share that with you. So if you are not familiar what a shim is, that's how you use one. Okay, so I'm gonna burnish. This has already been scored 7 by 7, scored with the shim at 1.5 inches on all 4 sides. I'm gonna burnish each of the score lines. And we're going to do just like we did on our box base. We're just going to snip up the side score lines, keep the long section straight, and just angle cut the tabs. All right, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to rotate it and do the same thing on the other side. All right. Then we're just going to do like we did before. We're going to tuck in our tabs and we're going to glue it on the inside. You know what? No, I'll go ahead. That's fine. We'll go ahead. If you want, you can put your designer series paper on first before you glue the tabs. But I'm already here, so let's go ahead. I'm going to glue it. Hi, Melanie. So glad you're joining us. If you just hopped on, what we're doing is I'm doing a craft along. I usually host these once a month where we just spend some time making 4 different projects. I sell the pre-cut pack it beforehand, but there's also too a tutorial in my PDF store that you can purchase if you want and craft along. Okay, so here is our box base and our box lid, right? The coral, Julie's talking about using coral more. I don't use coral very often either, but it is really a good color, and I really like how it works with the crumb cake. All right, so there is some designer series paper layers. All right, so if you remember, I already used this half a piece, right? So if I wanted to really conserve my designer series paper, I really don't have enough, do I? So what I'm going to do is, if you have 2 sheets of this print, no problem, or you could totally use a different pattern, but I want to use this particular coral check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 pieces that measure 1.5 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to glue one at the top and one at the bottom so it looks like it's one big piece. So it's 3 3/4 wide. Make sure I get that correct. And then it's 1.5, which this is already 3 inches. So it will be just cut down the middle at 1.5. And then my next piece is going to be this piece. Now this was left over from this. Remember how I cut off that 2 inches? Okay, well, I'm going to reuse it. I'm going to use that extra piece that was left over. And so this piece is 2, and then I want to cut it to 3 3/4. Now, there is also an optional thing that you can do, and on my box, I chose to do it, but if you don't want to, you don't have to, is I cut 4 pieces of coordinating designer series paper, and each of those measures 1 1/4 by 3 7/8. So if you want to decorate the outside of your box, that is an optional step to do. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to glue that at the top. We're going to glue this at the bottom, and then right here in the middle, we will put this in the middle as a little accent. Now this one I didn't add, I didn't break it up because it really is mostly covered by the sentiment circle. So we're going to have this at the top, put this at the bottom. And then right here in the middle. Oh, that would be kind of cool too. You could do that pattern too. Okay, right here. Oops. Okay, all right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take, and I'm going to take my circle. Now I'm going to share something with you that you can do. You can take, and I've already set it up, so I don't want to mess with it. What I did is I took, let me see if I can grab a sample for you. I'm going to take this one. This is your terrific one. What you can do is you can actually take your like single layer or your single line sentiments, and you can actually bend them gently to form a curve. So if I wanted to, I could take this, put it on my block, and give it a little bit of a curve. Now I've already done the curve to match my circle here so that it lines up beautifully. And that's how I got that curved sentiment to go along the edge of my circle. Now this is a 3-inch circle cut with the Stylish Shapes dies in thick basic white cardstock. I'm stamping the sentiment in Memento Black, and I'm just going to follow the curvature of my circle right there. Oh no, it did not stamp well. Let's see if I can line it up. Sometimes I can. That's pretty good. All right, how about that? That's not bad. Okay, cool. All right, that's the nice thing about the clear stamps. Sometimes you can line them back up. All right, so I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. Oh, yes. Okay, Katie, for those who got the pre-cut kit, I gave them a prep guideline with what to color them so that they could have them ready. So yes, I did do the coloring of the dinosaurs and die cut them ahead of time. Otherwise, this would be like really, really long, and I didn't think y'all wanted to watch me color. I'll do all that. But I am like doing the most of the cutting for the designer series paper. One, just to kind of slow myself down, because those who play Stampin' Bunko with me, I do host an online Stampin' Bunko each month. And I know several of you are on, and y'all know how fast I can be. So I thought, well, I'll try to slow myself down by cutting the designer series paper. All right. All right, just want to make sure I was catching your comments. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up the dinosaur. This was stamped on thick basic white cardstock in Memento Black, colored with crumb cake and Calypso Coral Stampin' Blends. I'm going to pop up my Triceratops with dimensionals. Put that right here. And then I also stamped a little flower from the stamp set. Again, crumb cake, Calypso Coral, and then the rocks are in crumb cake, Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to do my flower. I'm going to have it glued flat. Okay, just put that off here, kind of growing in the background. And then I'm going to pop up my rocks right next to it. I think I'm going to use some mini dimensionals for the rock. And put that right there. And then I'm just going to bling it up a little bit with a couple of the sparkle dots and then use my trim. Again, I'm doing this as a 12-inch piece. You could probably get by with 10 inches maybe if you wanted. And I'm going to pop that up, or not pop it up, I'm going to glue it with a mini glue dot. All right, and then add my little bit of bling here in the corner and finish it up. Okay, so I'm going to show you, because I told you how you could do around the perimeter of the box. So if you want a point of reference, just so you know, you could, this is what it looks like with the pieces of the coordinating designer series paper around the perimeter of the box. Those are those 4 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 3 7/8. But if you want it without, you can certainly do that as well. Okay, like I know I was starting to run out of some designer series paper. I do have enough to do it, but I wanted to share with you what it looks like without it. So if you wanted, you could add that little trim around the edge. All right. All right. So I hope that you liked all the projects today. I'll bring them back out, but then I'm going to share with you. I have not designed them. Okay. I have not designed them, but I'm going to share with you what I want to use so that you know what to kind of look forward to for next month. And it will be sometime later towards the end of March. We're coming up on March. Okay, so these are the 4 projects that we made today. We made 2 cards, we made a gift bag, and we made a gift box. Really fun for gift giving, or if you have anybody who loves dinosaurs. Now for next month, I am going to be featuring or using that beautiful, well, it's actually called Beautiful, Beautiful Butterflies bundle. And this is kind of a unique bundle. So you do have your stamp set with those really big, amazing butterflies, beautiful sentiments, but it has, for the dies, it has what's called a hybrid embossing folder. And so to use, I'm not going to like tell you everything about, you know, I'm sure I'll be explaining it later in another live, but what's cool about this is you can you can cut and emboss at the exact same time. And to do that, what you do is I got to figure out which side. You take your die and you rest it. There's like a raised side. You rest it on that raised side. You put your cardstock in, and then you run it through the embossing machine, and it's going to cut and emboss at the exact same time. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, I do have 2 projects that I'm doing for my March Stampin' Bunko, so I'll share those with you. They're not the ones I'm doing for our craft along next month, but it will give you an idea because I love the paper that we're using next month. It is this beautiful Everyday Happiness Designer Series paper. It is actually, it's one of those little hidden gems that's in the online store. It's under the memory keeping section, which I always forget that we have. That's new to Stampin' Up. And so we're going to be using this beautiful paper with the beautiful Butterflies bundle. And just to give you an idea, some really fun things that you can do. This is one of the projects that my Stampin' Bunko is making in March. And to show you, look at that. Look how beautiful. That's when I use that die cut or use that hybrid embossing folder where I could emboss and cut at the same time to have that beautiful background butterfly. And then they're making another project just to show you, little box here of how you can use that paper and those butterflies. All right. So I have not designed yet. My idea that's in my brain right now is 3 cards and a home decor piece. So I need to get designing this weekend. And then once I have that, I will share that with you. How do you get to play Stampin' Bunko? Well, Gretchen, it's kind of hard to get in. It is an online, it's on Zoom. I use the Zoom breakout rooms as our tables. I usually give my players first opportunity to register. If I do have any openings, then I will announce it to like my full email list, but they usually go really, really fast. If you would like me to reach out to you maybe later this week, I could certainly do that to you and send you the registration link after I've given my current players an opportunity to register. Sometimes we have a spot or two because not every month everybody can play. But yes, if you are interested in Stampin' Bunko, let me know and I can put your name down to reach out to you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I don't have the date. I don't have the projects designed for March Craft Along, but it will be probably around this time. Actually, probably will be on March 25th, okay, because it's exactly 1 month from today. And it will feature 4 projects, and they will feature those beautiful butterflies bundles. So if that's something on your wish list, then you can certainly order that. Now, you can always shop my online store at Simply Sweet Ink Designs. There's the Shop With Me tab. Okay, several. Okay. Katie, can you do me a favor and send me an email? I'm going to be leaving here shortly, and I don't want to forget to get back with you, but I can certainly do that. If you wouldn't mind just shooting me a really quick email. If you don't have my email, you can go to my blog at Simply Sweet Ink Designs. There's a Connect With Me tab, and you can email me that way. All right, guys. All right, we will see y'all on Friday. We'll do a fun project. Friday is just my one project, okay? So if you want to join me again to it's not a craft along. I'm just going to share with you a fun way to use some of the Stampin' Up products. And that will be at Friday at 3 o'clock Central Time. And then that is part of my weekly free project sheet. All right, guys, y'all take care. Hope to see you on Friday. Bye, guys.